What is going on with the Boston Celtics as something strange is happening as we see Lonnie Walker clear waivers but not end up on the main training camp roster. So what does that mean for Lonnie Walker and what does that mean for the Boston Celtics? We'll dive into that. Plus, we have an injury update on Sam Hauser as he has been sidelined the previous two games and could be out for tonight's contest as well. So we're going to give you guys a little bit of an update on that. All that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. And you guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support over on the channel throughout this season. We're really, really appreciative. We're going to have these live streams rolling again. Tonight, the Celtics take on the Bucks, and Giannis Antetokounmpo claims Jaylen Brown was the best player in the league. So we're going to see that matchup. Jaylen Brown looking to bounce back after a little bit of a shaky performance on Saturday. Come join us. We'll have all that to break down. But without further ado, let's dive into the video at hand today. Make sure to grab a snack. And the first part of the video that we're going to be discussing today is the Sam Hauser injury update, as he has been sidelined, like I said earlier, the previous two games, the one versus the Wizards and the one versus the Pistons, and this is all due to some lower back issues, but is not said to be anything serious. If we want to look at this update here, courtesy of Bobby Manning, Sam Hauser has been dealing with on and off back pain going back to the summer. He woke up feeling it today, but didn't feel anything on opening night, and that's why he was set to go. Courtesy of Bobby Kravitsky, we can hear from Joe Mazzulla that he said that he's getting better every single day, and that was another pregame update from Joe Mazzulla on Sam Hauser, who said he's been dealing with lower back pain this summer. And this is a quote courtesy of Sam Hauser, where he said it's just something that kind of flared up, kind of dealt with it on and off throughout the summer and preseason. So I'm just trying to manage it as best as I can and go from there. Hauser has obviously been dealing with this little bit of a back issue, but it doesn't seem to be anything serious. It has sidelined him for those last two games. But like we said, games versus the Wizards, games versus the Pistons, even though the Pistons made it a close contest, there are games that the Celtics are expected to win and expected to dominate. So Celtics fans and Celtics players, we could use a Sam Hauser, but necessarily we don't need a Sam Hauser every single time of those games. But glad to see Sam Hauser is looking a little bit better. If we want to look at Sam Hauser's stats on the year, we can see last season he averaged 9 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 1 assist on 44% shooting from the field and 42% shooting from 3-point range. So Hauser is that sharpshooter, is that money go-getter, and could be that 3-and-D wing off the bench for the Celtics team that is necessary to get that bench movement going. We all know Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, those are the other 3-and-D wings. And even Jordan Walsh has kind of showcased himself as a 3-and-D wing through the preseason. We haven't been able to get that much run of Jordan Walsh yet, but with Hauser being out, I expect to see Jordan Walsh get some run here and there. Now for Hauser going into tonight's contest, if we want to look at that, courtesy of Justin Turpin, he is questionable with a lower back issue, and as the Celtics go to try to be 4-0, they would love to have Sam Hauser back into this lineup and used in with this team. Now, unfortunately for the Celtics, we don't know what the Bucks injury lineup is either, as they are obviously coming off a back-to-back. But the Celtics are 8-2 in the last 10 home games against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they are taking on the Bucks coming off a back-to-back, and the Bucks having a little bit of a weak start to the season. Something that I kind of foresaw, and maybe not many people did, but ultimately having Sam Hauser would be huge. Having another scorer and shooter off this bench to take down a top Bucks squad. But if not, if the Celtics don't have Sam Hauser tonight, expect other players like Peyton Pritchard, Jordan Walsh, and even players like Xavier Tillman try to step up and deliver from that 3-point shot to kind of fill in that hole of that 3-point shooting from Sam Hauser on this bench. Let me know what you guys think about Sam Hauser down below in the comment section. Once again, I don't think it's that serious. Joe Mazzulla has already kind of come out and said it's not that big of a deal, so I don't think Celtics fans should be too scared. Just a little bit of a minor issue that he's dealing with, and it's not something that's going to be lingering, I think, for the foreseeable future. Let's dive into the meat and bones here of the video, which is no Lonnie Walker on the main roster. And this is very shocking and very confusing for Celtics fans, including myself, who thought that Lonnie Walker would either be picked up by another NBA team or would be on this main Celtics squad. So let's get into it and let's break it down. If we want to look at this training camp roster here, courtesy of the Maine Celtics, we can see that this is everybody that is selected to go to training camp for this Maine Celtics team. And you guys can see we already seen some familiar names. Those guys on those two-way deals, and J.D. Davidson, Drew Peterson, and Anton Watson, and players that have played on Exhibit 10 deals like Ron Harper Jr. Jay Scrubb, Jordan Shackle, Dimitro Skapinstev. But there's Hasten Ward, who was also signed to an Exhibit 10. But there's also names that some Celtics fans might not know. Donald Carey Jr., Eric Gaines, London Johnson, Xavier Pippen, Russell Sheway, and Xavier Wheeler. Those are players that we haven't heard of. We haven't heard of anything, and those are just players that have just signed with the training camp, are gonna work out with the team and kind of try to make the roster. But as you guys can see, the big name of the Exhibit 10 deals is not here. That's Lonnie Walker. You might be asking, why is Lonnie Walker not there? Did he get picked up by another team? No, he did not. He cleared waivers and is ultimately now a free agent and could be signed anywhere. This is why the Celtics did not keep Lonnie Walker, ladies and gentlemen. They knew that no one was going to pry off Lonnie Walker. Fans were saying, oh, the Knicks are going to grab him. Oh, the Nuggets are going to grab him. Oh, no, no. He still cleared waivers and still did not get picked up, which just goes to show you that, unfortunately for Lonnie Walker, that his values and services isn't going to be prioritized in the NBA, which stinks because he's a NBA ready caliber player and a player that can grow and can be utilized in systems. But unfortunately for these teams, they just have too much depth into their youth movements and their draft picks and stuff like that, that they don't have the space or the money to pick up a player like Lonnie Walker or to give him even the roster spot to even develop him. And this is why expansion needs to be happening sooner rather than later, because you have players like Markelle Fultz, players like Lonnie Walker, players like Dennis Smith Jr. that are sitting in free agency that are worthy of playing in the NBA and being on NBA rosters. And if they continue to grow, could cement themselves as future NBA role players, but just haven't been able to give them that opportunity because they just haven't had the likes of getting picked up, unfortunately. And for a player like Lonnie Walker, this absolutely stinks because he looked good in the preseason as well. And other teams like the Knicks have two open roster spots, and other teams have open rosters, one roster spot open, but unfortunately, Lonnie just hasn't gotten picked up and just hasn't been able to sign with those teams. And he hasn't even gone back to that Maine training camp, which ultimately raises a lot of questions. We all know Lonnie Walker said during Celtics training camp that he wanted to come back to Maine. He'd be willing to stay in Maine, be willing to fight for that roster spot. But maybe after actually getting cut and dealing with it, after being in the gym till midnight and then the night before and then getting cut the day after, might have been a little bit of shock to Lonnie Walker. Realize, hey, maybe I don't want to go to Maine. Maybe this is something I don't want to do. Or there could be some other options in the foreseeable future for Lonnie that he is considering, that he has shut down those main talks. But let me know what you guys think. And ultimately, let's get into the next part where will Lonnie end up? Because ultimately, I think there's two destinations that this man is going to find himself. And unfortunately, I don't think either of those is an NBA roster at this moment. Just if he would have cleared waivers and gotten picked up, that would have made it maybe a little bit more evident, maybe more clear that a team believed in him, a team liked his preseason skill set. But if no one picked him up throughout the offseason, he got an Exhibit 10 from the Celtics. No one picked him up after getting waived. No one picked him up after looking and seeing how he looked in the preseason. Unfortunately for Lonnie Walker, it just seems that he's not going to have a job in the NBA this season. And that's very, very tough for a young player that is deserving of being in the NBA. But let's look at this here because this showcases what Lonnie could do. And ultimately, the door to Maine is not closed for Walkers. You can still join the G League squad at any time, but he seems to be weighing his options before jumping in, and there are options. Word from last week is that Real Madrid was interested in a European move, could put Walker in front of a huge international audience while still keeping him in play for an NBA return. With 6 seasons under his belt and a reputation as a capable scorer and defender, Walker isn't out of the league's picture just yet. It's just unusual for vets like him to go this route. A quick stint in the G League or a showcase season overseas could just be the boost his career needs, and that ultimately is what I think is going to happen to Lonnie. Like we said, Real Madrid has been interested. There was another club as well. I don't know the name off the top of my head. It was, I think, a Greek club or an Irish club. I do not remember, but there was another club as well that was interested in Lonnie Walker, and that could be the route he decides to go, going overseas, playing a season over there, kind of filling in that Real Madrid spot. And as we saw with Gershon Yabusele coming over from overseas and coming over from the Olympics, showcasing his skill set, you can go overseas for a season or even a couple of seasons, gear up, get ready to go, and then make a return to the NBA and be an impact player. And Yabusele has done that for the Sixers, implementing himself in that power forward position. And I think Lonnie Walker could set himself up for something like that in the future as well. specifically with expansion coming in the foreseeable seasons. If Walker were to go overseas into Europe and play there for a couple of seasons and then come back, he would definitely earn a roster spot. But even if he goes over there for a year, showcases his skills, drops 40, drops 50, looks like the man, then teams will definitely be ringing his phone and definitely be looking to bring him back. But like we said, he could also come back to the G League and ultimately come back to the Celtics squad if he decides to. And that's also an option to keep an eye on because even though he's not on the training camp roster at this moment, he still could go to training camp. He could still make that decision. And since he got waived by the Celtics, he has an exhibit 10, on an exhibit 10. He does get a bonus for going to the Maine Celtics. So if nothing does arise from overseas, he probably is trying to figure something like that out right now. But if nothing like that is secured, then I think going to the G League, going to Maine, getting that $75,000 bonus, playing with this Celtics team, and ultimately then kind of waiting to see what kind of opportunity arises. Is there going to be an open roster spot on this team that he could work up to with them still having an open roster spot? Can he get a two-way spot if one of those two-way guys gets a final roster spot? If this player gets moved and then a guy gets moved up from a two-way to a roster spot, can Lonnie get that final two-way spot? Ultimately, all those questions could still be in play if he does go back to Maine, and I think that is another choice that he has. I think likely for Lonnie, he goes to Real Madrid and plays over there if they give him the option. But if he doesn't get the option to go overseas, he will go to the G League, play in Maine for this Celtics team, and try to bounce back his career into next year. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Like I said, a player like Lonnie Walker does not deserve to go this route, does not have to deserve to feel all this pain. And unfortunately, I feel bad for a player like him because he is worthy of being in the NBA and playing steady minutes off a team's bench. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. How do you guys feel about Lonnie Walker? How do you guys feel about this move? With him not getting picked up and still seeing him fighting for a roster spot, does this make you feel better that the Celtics waived him a little bit more? Let me know in the comment section. Once again, we're going to be live tonight, 7:30, watching the Celtics take on the Bucks. It's going to be a fantastic show. Come out, join us, have some fun. We'll be partying, enjoying the game. Once again, I'm Bruce Velez. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics. Peace out, y'all.